Before this video starts, I would like to say Merry Christmas to everybody, or if you don't celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, Merry Christmas to you. Hopefully you have a good holidays. But the reason why I pushed this video back 2 days because it was supposed to be made like 2 days ago, but I wanted to push it back on Christmas to make it like a little Christmas special. But happy Christmas to everybody. But without further ado, let's get into the video.
Do you still want the Rockets to trade you? And if so, why?
Right now, I'm just focused on being here. Today was good. Yesterday felt really good being out there. The first time since the bubble. Haven't really had an opportunity to do a lot of 5-on-5 work, but for my first time being out there, I think I felt pretty good. So.
There's been so much change with this team. You've been with this team for 8 years. How would you describe the last few months and just your overall perspective on where this basketball team is at right now?
There's a lot of changes. Obviously, the entire coaching staff, some of the front office, a lot of the players. This is where we are. Coach has done an unbelievable job of just communicating with the guys and just putting the structure in and getting things going.
Tim McMahon.
James, what was the point that you were trying to get across when you went to Atlanta and Vegas when training camp was starting?
I was just training.
Now you probably clicked on this video because you saw the title and you're probably asking me, Calvin, how does this James Harden situation remind you of the Dwight Howard situation? Well, Dwight Howard just came off of a disgruntled front office with the Orlando Magic, with him making the finals the previous year and losing to the Los Angeles Lakers with Kobe Bryant on it, and he wasn't really accepting his role, so they probably traded him to the Houston Rockets. Now the previous season before the Houston Rockets signed or traded for Dwight Howard, they went 56-26, second seed next to the Warriors. And then the season when they got Dwight Howard, they went 41-41 and they finished as the A seed, barely making the playoffs. Why? Because Dwight Howard was a locker room nuisance. He didn't want to accept his role. He wanted to be the first option on the team. He wanted to be a post scorer and not accept his role. And guess what? They shipped him to Los Angeles, and the Lakers had Kobe Bryant, Steve Nash, and Dwight Howard. They were supposed to be a super team, and we all know how that season went. A big disappointment for Lakers fans and that entire organization at that time. But Dwight Howard was able to clean up for his mistakes. He went back on the Los Angeles Lakers. He accepted his role and he was able to win his first championship since losing to the Los Angeles Lakers. Anyways, James Harden has been wanting a trade from the Houston Rockets for a very long time. Why? They shipped away Daryl Morey to the Philadelphia 76ers and they got rid of Mike D'Antoni and they brought him a new coach called Steven Silas, like a rookie coach. I don't even know who that dude is. And the one reason Harden wants to get traded to the Philadelphia 76ers is because they have Daryl Morey. Daryl Morey is the GM that, basically kind of sugarcoats everything on him, and he kind of says that he's the best scorer ever, and he kind of pats him on the back a lot of times, and he kind of makes him feel good. So why not go to the person that makes you feel good, right? Wrong, because the Houston Rockets have a lot of talent. They have the same player as Russell Westbrook, but John Wall can kind of basically shoot than Russell Westbrook. Shoots about 37 to 39% from three in his entire career. They have Boogie Cousins, which is actually a really good center for James Harden, because James Harden is mainly a shooter, and if he gets to the hole and Boogie Cousins is wide open for the three, he could kick it out to him and he has a very high chance of knocking it down. They also have Christian Wood, which is actually one of the most underrated centers. He kind of reminds me of a hybrid of Anthony Davis and Karl Anthony Towns. Sure, he's not good as those two players, but he kind of reminds me a little bit of Anthony Davis and Karl Anthony Towns. He wants to trade out of Houston, but he's actually taking it very, very, how do I say this? He's taking it very, very, in the right direction. We'll just say it like that. Well, not in the right direction because he did go to the strip club, missed practice for about 5 weeks. He does look a little bit obese, but he's actually playing with his teammates. I think he had a game against the San Antonio Spurs where he actually kind of played pretty good, kind of contributed a little bit, had a little bit of just a little bit of shaky off-ball offense. But enough said, James Harden has a lot of power for a person who hasn't really showed up in the big moments, and I'm talking about the playoffs. If you look at his playoff resume, if you take away the one where he was in the finals in OKC with Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, if you take that away, his playoff resume isn't really great. He won against the Golden State Warriors in the conference finals about 2 years ago. He ended up losing, and I think if they had Chris Paul, they had a chance of taking it to 7 games, but that Golden State Warriors team was stacked. They had KD, Curry, and just some great role players. This year in the bubble, they ended up going 7 games against those OKC teams, which had Chris Paul, Dennis Schroeder, and some great role players. How do you go 7 games with only Chris Paul and maybe Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? That's why I'm saying this entire situation reminds me of the Dwight Howard situation, because do you guys remember when Dwight Howard called out his own front office in the Orlando Magic, and he basically called them out trying to throw shade on their name while he lost in the finals, and it wasn't really their fault. Maybe it was the recruiting aspect, but he was the one that played in the finals and he was the one that lost to Kobe. That's why it kind of reminds me of the Dwight Howard situation. Hopefully you guys were making a little bit of reference to that, but yeah. Obviously, Dwight Howard isn't the same person he was 6 years ago, but you can kind of understand how the correlation with him and the James Harden situation that's going on right now. James Harden kind of reminds me of Charles Barkley. Remember when Charles Barkley was trying to become fast so he wouldn't get drafted by the Philadelphia 76ers? Eventually, the 76ers ended up drafting him, but he was still trying his best, and I think that's what's going to happen for James Harden. He's going to try really hard to stay away from the Houston Rockets, but eventually he's probably going to come to his senses, and he's probably going to be like, you know, I'm ready to come back to the team. I'm ready to try and compete for another championship. The Houston Rockets last year kind of remind me of the Cleveland Browns when they got Odell Beckham Jr. Everybody was hopping on the Cleveland Browns train. Obviously, they're pretty good this year. I think they're 10-5 or 10-4, but obviously they're good this year, but last year, everybody was hopping on the train, especially me. I was like, Cleveland is going to win it all, but ended up Kansas City winning, but that's what it kind of reminded me of. You see, I was watching the Lakers versus Mavs game yesterday, and one of the commentators kind of said, like, a lot of people have been demanding trades from their teams, but they didn't do it the extreme James Harden did it. James Harden is literally putting lives at risk. He went partying without the team's success, and some players were like, oh my gosh, if James Harden could go party and he's not getting consequences for it, like, why can't I? So Adam Silver ended up finding James Harden $50,000 for going to party. And Adam Silver could have suspended him, but, you know, he said it's Christmas, so we all love Adam Silver, man. If you don't love Adam Silver, man, like, what is your life? There's so much more that I could talk about with, you know, James Harden and with him testing negative, and they still ended up canceling the game against the Sacramento Kings. There's so much more I could talk about, but I don't want to make this video like really long. This video is already like 8 minutes, and I like to make my videos like less than 10 minutes. So hopefully you guys can understand. Let me know which team you guys think James Harden is going to eventually sign with. I think he's staying with the Rockets. If he goes to the Philadelphia 76ers, then that team is going to be looking really good, but they're going to have to give up Ben Simmons, so I don't know how that's really going to work. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you guys subscribe if you guys are new. I forgot to say that in the start of the video, but make sure you guys go to subscribe. But as being boy Kelvin here, and I am out. Peace.